Hi there, and welcome to the Play Therapy Circle. Before we begin, please note this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not provide therapeutic advice, and listening does not create a client-therapist relationship. All views expressed are my own, and any case examples shared have been de-identified to protect privacy. If you're seeking personal support, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional in your area. Hi, and welcome to an episode of the Play Therapy Circle. I'm Kylie Ellison, a therapist, clinical supervisor, and play therapy trainer, and I'm so grateful you're here. This podcast is a space for thoughtful, soulful conversations about child-centered therapy, play-based work, and what it means to show up with presence and compassion, both for our clients and for ourselves. Whether you're a seasoned play therapist, a student just starting out, or someone deeply passionate about working with children, you belong here. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Play Therapy Circle podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Ellison, and I am so glad you are here. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode. A happy Sunday. I'm recording this on a Sunday. So trying to get ahead for the week that's about to come through and all of the things. So I hope that you guys are having a wonderful week and wonderful start to the year. Guys, it's the 25th of January. I don't know what's happening, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot and it's happening fast. Where is this month going? We have our kids going back to school next week, which is great. No, I love my kids, but it's time to go back. So that's good. That's really good. And obviously in the playroom, we will have all of our beautiful children and clients entering back into school settings here in Brisbane. So lots happening in the next week. But I also need to announce too, it's not really an announcement, just a declaration. No, that sounds even worse. Just to mention, let's wind that back. Just to mention a couple of new things. I got it upgraded the couch. Yeah. The other one I had, if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on the video, you'll see it's different. The last one, I underestimated how small it was. I'm just trying to think of a nice way of saying she was too small. So I needed one that I actually fit on. So there you go. I persisted for as long as I could, and then I no longer persisted. And also, I have some pink glasses, new ones, that are just really my vibe at the moment. So black is out, pink is back in, 21 following along. Although I've got black nails on. I just went and got my nails done. So I just contradicted myself. I love that. Okay. I want to connect with you all today. This is a very different episode to what we would normally do, and I will explain all in a second. Usually I have a bit of a template, and because I'm ADHD and I'm very easily distracted and very easily go on tangents, and if you've been listening and you're a listener and a follower, you know. So I'm trying to have a little bit of a structure today's episode, but it may go on a wandering journey. So I'm giving that disclaimer again at the head of this episode, right? Because my practice and our practice, so I have myself and I have two incredible women, Eva and Shaz, hello to you both, who work with me and have been with me for a number of years now, which I'm so grateful for. They put up with me. Can you imagine me as a boss? I'm all over the shop, so I am so grateful and I love them both. So we are about to celebrate on the 1st of February, 10 years of private practice in child-centered play therapy. 10 years. So what I thought I would do today's episode on in celebration of that, a bit of a look back, a bit of a journey. Like I said, let's go for a wander together on the journey that was me starting private practice 10 years ago and then moving into where I am today. So if you are I feel like this is maybe an episode I want to dedicate to anyone who might be feeling a little bit lost, a little bit unsure of their next moves, a little bit unsure if they want to go into play therapy or become a play therapist. Hopefully, this will give you some inspiration that there is hope there. There is absolutely hope there. So I might share my journey. I'm also really mindful that we have... Oh gosh, I want to say now, I'm just thinking of the stats the other day because I looked at it the other day. I want to say about 35% of our listeners are international. And of those, they're from about 38 different countries. So, and we have 39 as Australia, at about 65%, I think it is. So I just want to acknowledge that for many of you listening, who are regular listeners, you may not know really anything about my journey into play therapy and specifically child-centered play therapy. So I'm hoping that this might be helpful. And like I said, again, for those who are unsure or feeling a bit lost, I think this is especially for you. I'm going to dedicate this to you because I think that there's so much to unpack about my journey and we don't have enough time. And you guys are not my therapists. So I am going to do this from a reflective perspective of just letting you guys know, I guess, the journey and how we got here. So I want to start with the before chapter. This is going to grab a coffee, grab a tea, sit on a couch, grab a blanket. This is going to be a minute. Okay. No, I'm joking. I'm absolutely joking. We're not going to dwell on too much detail over this podcast because that's important that we talk about the full story. Okay. So what was I doing before play therapy? Good question. So I originally, this is going to go back. And so anyone who's been on my website and seen my credentials and my bio, you'll see all of this. So this is nothing new. But in terms of my journey, I finished high school. How fun is this? We're really going back. Oh my God, you guys are like, this is the episode I didn't ask for and you're going to get anyway. Okay, so I finished high school. I'm not going to tell you when because it was like 10,000 years ago. And then I studied an undergraduate degree. It was a Bachelor of Arts majoring in psychology. So I, at 18, went to university because I was like, that's what everyone did back in the day. I'm going to say back in the day because I'm not going to tell you. You'll probably work it out. But anyway, back in the day, that's what we did. So what did I do? I picked like a whole bunch of subjects. I picked things like writing subject. I picked an education subject. I picked a psychology subject. I did a social science one. What else did I did? I just did like a bunch of things to see what I wanted to be when I grew up. And the only thing that really stuck with for me was the psychology studies, which is what I eventually went on to for the rest of my degree. I have to share, though, for all of those from an education background who have done studies and qualifications in education, I just want to take my hat off to all of you. I mean, I do that anyway, but even in this space, I did like an introductory subject when I was 18, and I had to do like a 5-day placement at a kindy. And like when I tell you at the end of the 5 days, I was like, okay, I've ruled this out. Like this is not for me, because I literally was exhausted, shattered. And that was a million years ago, before, kind of today's climate. So I just want to like pay my respects and tip my hat to all of you who are either working in education or have done education studies, because I thought I was stronger than that. But I really wasn't. So you guys are amazing. So I finished my undergrad degree. So that ended up taking 4 years. I graduated it was 3 years, because I graduated at the end of 2004. So then I got my first job as what we would call back in the day, a child safety officer through the Department of Child Safety at the time. So that was 2005. Yes. So I've been working 21 years in the helping profession. Okay, we're doing the numbers, guys. We're crunching the numbers. So 2005. I lasted there about 18 months. And so again, anyone listening who is working in child protection, who works for any kind of government bodies in that space, again, I tip my hat to you, because I couldn't last either. And anyone who has been in that space as well, who has been in the trenches of child protection and worked in as a statutory body, it's not easy. It's very It's a lot. It's a lot on so many levels, and I won't unpack that. I just want to pay my respects again to those of you who are working in that space, because it's not easy work, that's for sure. I think at the time in 2005 when I was there, because I was there for 18 months, I think the turnover rate was every 6 months, a staff member. So a staff member would leave. They would reach like a maximum of 6 months and then they were gone. So for me to stay 18 months was like I was a long timer. I was almost due for long service leave. No, I'm just kidding. So that was a lot. And certainly left that profession with a good amount of burnout, which was great. It was amazing. Literally left. So then moved into, but it gave me great skills, like the skills and the understanding I have for here in Queensland. I'm going to talk to Queensland of the child protection legislation, and my understanding of child protection processes at a statutory level makes it has been an incredible advantage in terms of understanding the system. So I don't regret it. I wouldn't do it again. More happy on the other side in the non-government space. So went to the non-government. Sort of went, okay, I tried government, let's try non-government. So went to the non-government. I worked, so one of the things that I found, and I'm sure somebody listening will probably psychoanalyze this, but what I found with any job that I went to after child safety, well, even it was happening with child safety, because I was going to be a team leader just before I left, and I was like 22. I was like 22. I was like, no, I should not be. But every job I've gone to, I've basically done the job and kind of worked really hard, understood the role, tried my best. And usually I would find myself kind of migrating into middle management or upper management positions, and then kind of get bored of that and move on. So I did that with Lutheran Community Care, got a chance to work with them. They were amazing. Then went to Life Without Barriers, who were also amazing, and then fell pregnant with my daughter. So I'd had the government job and a couple of non-government jobs before I fell pregnant and had Chelsea. So at that point in time, I just decided that I really wanted to, I'd worked in, I guess, roles where I had the opportunity to do direct client work. I'd also done kind of management work as well. And so I just really wanted something different. So I moved into contractor work. So that was great because it offered me really great flexibility when my kids were little. So I was working in a space where I could just work for myself. I could work my own hours. I could work from home. I could, just schedule, I guess, meetings and home visits and, work stuff around my husband's schedule. So that worked really well. So I was doing that for a few years, worked for lots of different contractor organizations, and then kind of fell into child-centered play therapy. Like I was kind of thinking about how do I describe this in a way where it's like magical? It really wasn't. So what I will say is that having worked in government and non-government before I moved into contracting work, I had definitely tried to use lots of training and strategies that I already had in my toolkit around working with children and families. So the frustration that I was finding was that I just wasn't really getting those outcomes that I really wanted. So I felt, and there was something in me, and I want to flag this to anyone who has had this experience as well, because it's really important that you listen to it, because I didn't initially, and I think that if I'd listened to it sooner, I would have found play therapy sooner. But there was something around it not feeling quite right, or not feeling like it was landing in the way that I was hoping, or helping the client to be able to navigate their issues and their problems by using more directive talk-based approaches. So I did lots of activities, lots of handouts, lots of different strategies and suggestions and ideas, both to children and to parents and families, and just didn't feel like I was making that traction. So I started kind of looking online, kind of going, okay, well, this is what I've done. This is the training. This is my professional background. Oh, during that time too, I started my honours in psychology. When did I do that? Oh, I did that in 2009, I think. Yeah, around that time. Yes, anyway, I'm doing the maths in my head. So in that space, did my honours year in psychology. at Bond Uni at the Gold Coast. So that was awesome too. I really enjoyed that. Okay, so anyway, went online, kind of had a look around. So at this point in time, I had an undergrad and an honours in psychology. So looked up a few different trainings and came across play therapy and thought, I really have no idea what this is, but this sounds amazing. So signed up for the introductory course, and that was over in Perth. So for the duration of my training, which was 4 workshops, I flew from Brisbane over to Perth and stayed there. And so my husband at the time, my kids were 2 and 3. So my husband stayed in Brisbane for the first time, and then he would come and bring the kids with him. And we would make kind of a bit of a trip of it after I'd done my training in Perth each time for the rest of the program. So I really wasn't expecting, I didn't have any expectations going into the introductory workshop. This was back in 2015. So I want to also, I mean, it's 2026 now. So that was 11 years ago that I did my training in WA. And I want to, I guess, also emphasize that 11 years ago, play therapy is constantly growing in Australia, which is incredible and amazing. But 11 years ago, it was even kind of less known in our community. And there certainly was less professionals working in the space 11 years ago, for sure. So I went there kind of in a bit of an unknown of kind of, I don't know what to expect, and completely fell in love with it. And it really was, I just think there was so many factors that were contributing to it at the time. But I think that one of the things around not needing to be the expert, I think that was my moment where I was like, oh, thank God, I don't need to have the answers. I feel really kind of out of my comfort zone when I feel like I need to give answers to my clients. It doesn't feel right. And this approach really kind of sat in the opposite of that. And I was just like, this is it. But I always, when I'm connecting with others, when I'm sharing my play therapy work, I will often say, and I want to say this to normalize it. So especially those of you who might be starting some studies in play therapy and still feeling a bit unsure, I want to share with you, in my first workshop, it was a 3-day workshop, and on the 3rd day, we were doing limit setting in groups, and it was a big group. I want to say maybe about 8, maybe more, students in the group. And we were all having a go at just kind of people going in the middle, role playing, whatever. And I just found myself like a deer in headlights. When it was my turn to be the therapist and there was somebody trying to test limits, and really, like, it wasn't anything too hectic. I remember this girl that I was doing it with. She was beautiful and she was being very gentle. And I was just like I couldn't get the words out. Like my brain was trying to remember the words of the statements of the ACT model, but I couldn't get it out. And so the longer, you know, when like people are waiting for you to say something and you're not saying anything and it's just like that awkward silence, it was like that. Forever. And everyone was kind of looking at me, which made it worse. So I felt worse. And I was like, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know where to start. So after that, went to the bathroom, had a meltdown. And then rang my husband. I was like, oh my God, I've just paid all this money and I don't know what I'm doing. And here we are, 11 years later. So I guess there's a silver lining. I promise I'm getting to a point. I will never forget that experience, because I think it's really important when we are nurturing and supporting new play therapists in this space to all remember where we came from. And not everyone was an expert straight out. And I am definitely not an expert, 100%. I will never call myself that. But I think that there's something around grounding yourself in that humility of where you started to, I guess, celebrate how far you've come. So if you are a beginning play therapist feeling that, regardless of kind of the pathway that you take and the training that you do, we all have those moments where we're kind of like, can I do this? Have I got this? Am I going to be able to do this moving forward? And again, I want to be, I guess, an offering here around there's potentially hope. I don't want to assure you that absolutely everything's going to be fine, but there's definitely a way forward. So I'll never forget that first workshop ever. That has stayed with me for a very, very long time. And I'm really proud now of kind of where I've moved to and where I'm at now and what I'm doing now. And you know how often people, you'll see it on social media, they'll say, you know, if you could have talked to yourself, you know, as a younger self, what would you say? I feel like it's almost like that in kind of thinking about what I would have said to myself 10 years ago, well, 11 years ago for the training of where I am now. And it's absolutely nothing like I imagined it, which again, I promise is a good thing. But I definitely wasn't in the headspace of any kind of expectations at that point. I just really wanted to try something new and something different because I was really feeling stuck in using more of that kind of CBT, talk-based, directive kind of approach to speaking with children and having no kind of elements of play there in my work. So that was kind of the before chapter and how I discovered play therapy. I don't know if I've terrified anyone or you're okay. You're feeling okay. I feel like I want to check in. So I finished my training, and what happens next? I decide that I am going to open my private practice. So I make the decision at the time because I had a 2 and a 3-year-old and I was working as a contractor. So wasn't working in an employed position. And obviously my husband works full time. So we did absolutely the best that we could, and it's just incredible that where life has taken us. But started with a practice from home. So definitely now, 10, 11 years later, for anyone beginning in that space, I definitely think there's pros and cons. So for me, and I say this as somebody now where I'm at this part of my journey, I definitely feel like specifically for me, working from home in terms of doing play therapy definitely had a shelf life. There's a lot of challenges with it, and it's definitely can be rewarding. It can be a really welcoming and inviting and supportive space for clients, but it also has its downsides. So it did, after about 18 months, get too much. And so I managed to get a small space. I think that was Cleveland. I want to say, oh no, maybe Brendale. I'm not sure. There was a couple of spaces that I opened early in the piece, and around that time as well. So I started my private practice. I did that for about 18 months, and then I moved over to being from a sole trader to being a proprietary limited company. And so then worked in a space where I was bringing other play therapists on. So I did that till about, I want to say 2024. What are we in now? 2026. Yeah, 2024. When I really made a conscious decision that I wanted to be able to look at my career kind of long term and move towards that. So I definitely in the beginning wanted to have an incredible company that was going to have lots of offices and lots of staff. And I can certainly, hand on heart, say that I certainly had that experience and was able to do that. But I think for me, this is going to sound so sad, but I'm like in my 40s now. I feel like I'm a geriatric millennial for real. And so hitting my 40s, I was kind of like, what do I want to do like for the rest of my life? And some people don't necessarily have that thought process. So I really wanted just to acknowledge this was my journey. But I think for me, and the other part, which was a significant part of my decision making, there was kind of a couple of things. One was my health. So I think definitely wanting to have a bit more of a focus on my health and looking after myself was a big part of me wanting to downsize at that point and really focus on my practice specifically, as opposed to building a big company. And I realized too that my kids, they're both now in high school. So for my daughter, she just said to me in the car the other day, she's like, I graduate high school in 2029 and like 3.5 years time. I was like, what? What do you mean you're graduating? Like that means then you're going to have your own life? Like what? So I literally feel and have felt for the last year or so that I just have this small, becoming smaller window of time with my kids before they are going to go out and venture into the wild. And I just didn't want to, having started my business when they were 2 and 3, it took so much time away from my kids, and I really wanted to have those last few years with them before they grew up and left. So I needed to make that kind of life decision. So I did. And really, especially in the last 12 months, it's just been, I have come back to my joy of play therapy and my passion of play therapy. It's given us the chance last year to launch this podcast, which has been truly amazing. I've really, really enjoyed it, getting into all things CCPT. I'm obviously involved in helping with training. So our organisation also started delivering training. So not Play Therapy Circle, my private practice, delivered and started delivering training since 2018. So we've been doing that for about 7 years. And so I really wanted to define, I guess, where I wanted to go in terms of my career. And it really is at this point about specialising, but also too about sharing. As Gary Lynn, I'm constantly thinking, and that's why I have to share. I just thought of his quote. I love in Gary Landreth's The Art of the Relationship, his quote around the fact that child-centered play therapy shouldn't just live in the play. I'm paraphrasing, but he basically says shouldn't just live in the playroom. It should be shared with everyone. And I really, really, truly, at my core, believe that. And what I'm realizing now, obviously, 10, 11 years later, is having, really kind of worked in that space of child-centered play therapy the whole time. I feel like I have so much I can offer. So that has been, and this is starting to sound like a therapy session, you guys. Welcome. Have a seat. I'm just kidding. So it really has felt like this is now the next step in my journey. Is doing some of this. So I'm getting back into conferences this year. I've got a couple of conferences booked, one in Cairns in May and one in Brisbane in June. And I'm sure more to come. So doing that, doing the podcast, working in private practice, I'm truly loving, because I was kind of doing clients here and there over, kind of the course of when my company was bigger, in the last couple of years, really getting back into the playroom and doing that work consistently has just been so nice. And then supporting play therapists in their clinical journey with clinical supervision has just been incredible and such a privilege to do as well. So it's been quite the journey to get me here. But I have to say, at this point in my life, I guess doing this work and, showing up in this way, like I said, with doing my private practice, offering some connection and support to play therapists in the field, being able to go to conferences and talk about play therapy, doing the podcast, all those things feels so aligned. It just feels right. And so I guess that's the message that I want to send to each of you listening. Whether you are in play therapy or you're beginning in your journey, it is so important to listen to yourself and listen to your gut and listen to what truly aligns for you, because that's so important in where you go in your career. And so I've always been super goal orientated, and I love that about myself. But I think what I'm learning as well is really, I guess, not just looking at my goals, but kind of looking at where am I best serving myself, my family, and my community. So it's been a journey, you guys. It's been a journey. Yay. How fun was that, going through that journey? Oh my lordy. So what do I want to do, I guess, in terms of reflecting back on this and looking at the last 10 years? It's been knowing that the 10th birthday was coming up. It definitely means a lot, because I think when I look back, you know some of the stats, right, in terms of small businesses when I first started out and then now as a small business, but also, I guess, along the way, during the middle of my private practice journey was COVID and COVID lockdowns and navigating all of that. There's been so much that's happened. So to get here means a lot. It really does. It just is so nice to be able to say, I didn't give up. I kept going and I kept believing in child-centered play therapy because I truly, truly believed in it. And now at this point feel so connected with the work, which is just so nice. The most I ever have. So what am I most proud of? I think it's, like I was just saying, believing in child-centered play therapy no matter what. There was many, many times I could have doubted it. I could have maybe taken other opinions or other beliefs around therapy and, different journeys around that. But ultimately, I stayed true to it. And I'm really, really proud of the fact that it never swayed my belief in it, my hope in it, that offering child-centered play therapy to children and families in our communities is important, and that it works, and that it is something that we need to trust the process with. And I think we say trust the process in child-centered play therapy. It's also about our own journey as play therapists. We've got to trust the process. It's something where I'm learning that it's not so important to have an idea of the outcome or the goal. It's actually enjoying the process in the middle, which means slowing down. So that's certainly been the journey for me. So I think now, because I went through such a journey where it was lots and lots of work, obviously, to run a practice. And now that I've been able to come back and it's just myself and Eva, and I have the amazing Shaz with me to help me as well, that it feels like I can slow down a bit. And when I've been able to slow down, I'll obviously then be able to regulate my nervous system, which means then I'm able to be more present, and means that the richness of my work is so much better. And so I've learned a lot of stuff along the way. And I think now that I'm in this space, I catch myself a lot in the day when I'm in the playroom with my clients thinking, I can't believe this is my job. I am beyond grateful that I'm still here. Beyond grateful. And that it is a privilege to do child-centered play therapy with children and families in my community. So I absolutely don't take it for granted at all. What I learned about myself is that, I have a kind of a funny quote that comes to mind immediately. I don't know if this is necessarily appropriate, but I kind of think about that idea of that we can all do hard things. We can do hard things. We often say that when we are about to kind of have a difficult conversation with a parent. We might psych ourselves up and say, I can do hard things. I think that if it's worth the journey and if it's worth the hard work, it's worth it, right? But it's never going to be straightforward. It's never going to be easy. So I think for those of you who are thinking about going into private practice, there are so many things to consider. And so make sure, because I wish that I had, make sure you think it through when you become a sole trader and you're working in that space of really where you want to go, and really taking that time to invest. So we often, obviously talk about a business plan. That's obviously by the by. That's something totally separate to this. But I think it's having intentionality, and that comes when you're able to kind of slow down and kind of stop. And that's certainly been it for me. Later in my career, so in the last 12 months, I've also discovered through lots of different, how do I put this, chain of events, that I have also been diagnosed with ADHD. And I'm sure for anyone that has connected with me, that is zero surprise. But I think that, and often for those of you who are, I'm going to say geriatric millennials as well. Where are you? I see you in your 40s and you get diagnosed. I think that there is a moment where you kind of go, and now everything makes sense about your life. And I could go into all of those things, but I won't, because this is an episode about becoming a play therapist. But it makes a lot of sense. And so I think in me taking that time over the last couple of years and that journey around getting to know myself better and getting to understand myself better, it really has changed my perspective and certainly where I'm going in terms of my work. So I am incredibly grateful for every experience I've had in bringing me to this moment, because it wouldn't have brought me here. So I'm so grateful for that. But I'm even more appreciative now of where I'm at and where I'm going, because it really is what feels connected and right and true to me and true to the work that I want to do. So I think I want to, kind of finish up this episode, because this really does feel like a therapy session. And you all, I didn't give you a warning about that before we started. Oh man. I want to, talk about, at this 10-year mark, my reflections. We've started doing it, but just to finish it off. Like I said, I have incredible gratitude for everyone I've connected with because you have taught me something about myself, my practice, and where I'm going. So I am truly, truly grateful to absolutely every person I've connected with, and more so that I'm so excited for the people I will connect with this year. And for those of you who I am currently connected with, oh my gosh, this is so much about connection, that I'm currently connected with and you know who you are, those people who are just incredible. Like, I can't tell you how much I love and adore you guys. You are so important to me, and I am so grateful, especially for those, kind of in a closer circle connection to me. Your belief in me, even when I kind of sometimes lose it, you're there to kind of pick me up and remind me of the journey and where I'm going and what value I bring in child-centered play therapy. And I'm just so grateful. I'm so, so grateful. I love each of you. So I think after all this time, it's just so amazing that I'm even more passionate about child-centered play therapy than ever before. And so I really want to, in kind of signing this off, because I think this feels really nice as a way of kind of summarizing. I definitely want to reassure you guys, if you are going into this space or you're about to go into this space or you've been in this space, that growth isn't linear. She's not. Definitely not. It's the line is not straight. It's all over the place. You have the permission to connect and align and do what absolutely lights your heart up. And for me, that's child-centered play therapy. That's what it is. I am passionate about it. I'm grateful for it. I am connected to it. I love sharing about it. And so I want to give you that hope that if you feel a little bit overwhelmed or unsure, you don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to. Oof. And I'm talking to myself now too. We're all doing this. Let's all hold our hands and say that together. You don't have to have it all worked out. And in fact, we talk about this. It's written again in, I believe it's in Cochrane & Cochrane, actually, Nancy and Jeff Cochrane. I'm a big, big fan as well of their textbook, Child-Centered Play Therapy. They talk about when you are communicating with parents, when you're connecting with them. So I believe, just jumping everywhere, I believe child-centered play therapy lives everywhere. You guys who are regular listeners know that well. So I'm going to share it now in terms of my journey of becoming a play therapist and a professional, right? That they talk about when you are connecting with parents in that initial consultation or connecting with stakeholders like teachers, that you honor obviously them as being the experts, but you also let them know that you've got this as a child-centered play therapist. You might not necessarily say those words, but it's about communicating to them. I believe in you. I believe in your child. I believe in child-centered play therapy. We've got this, and I will keep you updated along the way. That's basically, I'm summarizing. And I really, truly, if I could send a message to anyone listening who is feeling any kind of doubt or overwhelm or being unsure or feeling unsure, please, please, please listen to this, that you absolutely have got this. Any time in your mind where you start to wander and doubt yourself, remind yourself you've got this. You absolutely do, because you've been through so much already and you're still here. So if you can do that, you can do this moving forward. So I really am truly, truly passionate about supporting those in our community who are feeling unsure, who want to navigate and become a child-centered play therapist but don't know where to start. I'm all about supporting them to say, you've got this. Truly, I believe in each and every one of you listening, that you are going to help children, you are going to help support families, and you are going to make a difference in your community. And how incredibly amazing is that? And I look forward to the next 10 years of my private practice, which is wild to me, wild. So what are we doing for our birthday? Okay, so we are going to have a live because, of course, to anyone who wants to join, feel free. It'll be 1:00 Queensland time on Monday, the 2nd of February, 2026. So we will have a live. We have a couple of big announcements that we are keen to share with you all. But I think even more than that, we're going to have cake. But do you know what I'm most excited about? On the weekend, I went to Spotlight and bought a helium tank. Never done it before. Never ever. I didn't even know this was a thing. Shaz was like, go and buy one. I was like, what? That's a thing? That's amazing. Because I've always ordered them, right? So bought a tank. I haven't opened it. I don't even know what to do. So I'm going to take it to the office. And I'm just going to fill our staff room. We were talking about this the other day. I was like, let's do the waiting room. And I was like, nope, that's not a good idea. Because the kids will go crazy with it. They'll enjoy it. So we're going to do our staff room. But I'm just going to fill the room with balloons. We're going to have cake. And we're just going to celebrate it, that we have made it. And here's to another 10. So feel free to join us if you would like. I'm sure there's some way that we'll probably record it somehow. I don't know. I'm sure there's a way. But for all of you listening, if you're just starting out on your journey, or you're 5 or 10 or 15 years down the line, make sure that you are celebrating it, because it's a bloody big achievement. It's not something little. That to make it in business for 10 years is massive, massive, especially in child-centered play therapy. So I want to send all of my love to each of you. Thank you to each of you for listening and supporting the podcast. I've absolutely loved it. And I hope that you've enjoyed this episode today to get to know me a little bit more. I don't know, let me know, I guess, on the socials. Message us, comment, all of the things if you would like something different in the future, or if you enjoyed this and want more. Next week, we're going to return. Okay, so here's my ADHD brain going in the wrong direction. So I know this week was supposed to be another episode to help and support parents and share information with parents about play therapy. Promise, guys, next week we'll get back into it. We just had to do this kind of unique and special episode for obvious reasons. So I want to say to each of you, take care of yourselves and each other. Look after yourself and each other. Be kind to yourselves and each other, because that's so important. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here. And I can't wait to share with you next week more about child-centered play therapy. So wherever you are, sending my love, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye. Thank you so much for being here for another episode of the Play Therapy Circle. If anything resonated with you today, I'd love it if you could follow the podcast, share it with a colleague, or leave a short review. It really helps others find our circle. And if you have a topic or question you'd love me to explore, I'd love to hear from you. This space is for you, and I want it to feel like a conversation. Until next time, take care of yourself, and remember, you belong here.